Hello everybody and welcome to my Sunday live stream. Today we'll be making some worm cultures. I'm going to start by making this 10-gallon Grindal Worm Culture. And I'll show you everything you need. And yeah, I wish I grabbed dog food before this, but I'll probably end up grabbing that after. Aim Spearfish, welcome. Sandy Farrell, welcome. Dave Farrell, welcome. Olivia, welcome. Edgar Reyes, welcome.
Aquarium Co-op and Grove is still alive.
This is my time to shine now. So this is my 10-gallon tank. It's a reptile tank, so we're not using it for water. And I'm going to be using it to make some Grindal worms. Geek Boy, welcome. I'll try and be a bit louder today because yesterday apparently I was quiet. But I have this 5-gallon bucket of coconut fibers, organic coconut fibers, and I have my 6 existing small cultures. I have a bin of water. John Cox, welcome. Some plastic canvas and some scissors. And then the tank. The tank is already labeled with Grindal worms. And I'm going to take the pin thingy out. As you can see, it's got a mesh lid. Grindal worms don't smell that bad. Microworms smell terrible. That's why I'll be doing them in smaller containers later in the stream. But we're going to start off by making some Grindal worms. And Grindal worms are so easy and they reproduce so quickly. But I've never combined cultures. So I have to take these 6 cultures and get them in here with like 2/3 fresh dirt. And that will be like the monthly dirt change. But you see, I'm in my corner again. My little worm corner. But first, I'm going to start by taking a big old handful of organic coconut fibers and wringing them out. And I made these a bit wet, very, very wet when I made these because I made them a month or so ago and I wanted to keep them moist so I wouldn't have to re-wet them. So I made them extra wet. I'm just going to start by covering the bottom with fresh coconut fibers. After I wring out each handful, and then break them up into the bottom. And then after I get the fresh coconut fibers in, I'll put the old culture in. And then I'll show what to do after that. But since this is a 10-gallon tank with a mesh lid, you don't need to cut holes in the top. But if you're using a Tupperware container, then you'll want to have holes for airflow. And if we have time at the end of the stream, I'll show my blackworms. John Cox said I did Grindal worms on a pad, so not soil in the culture. Due to this, they are a little slower taking off, but they are great once going. Oh yeah, I saw one of those. They're kind of like a coarse sponge dish, like a really coarse filter media thing. And the Grindal worms, I've seen those online when I search up Grindal worms. I keep mine in organic coconut fibers. You can use organic potting soil or peat moss, organic peat moss. You want it to be organic so you don't have any of the fertilizer killing your worms or infecting the worms, and then that would not be good for your fish. The organic coconut fibers I'm using here are for a reptile tank. Zoomed Eco Earth, I think it's called. I got a 3-pack of the bricks. And one brick makes a half a 5-gallon bucket full of substrate, and it works really nicely, so you don't need a whole lot of substrate here. And yesterday, we picked up a 10-gallon tank on the side of the road, and one of the seams leaks partway up it, so maybe that will be a worm culture. Maybe it'll be resealed and be a fish tank. But this will be a 10-gallon rack eventually. And yesterday I showed the tank for beta breeding down under this tank. And I guess the more substrate you have, the better, because the worms have more room to populate. And they have lots of room for more and more Grindal worms. And if you only have a few Grindal worms and a lot of substrate, then you wouldn't have to change it out as much because they have plenty of room. And I really think they just foul the substrate, unlike microworms, where they'll eat the mashed potatoes or the oats that are in there. And you'll see the line of oats or mashed potatoes. I use instant mashed potatoes. You'll see that slowly go down as they eat it. And that's why every month you here. So imagine this is a microworm culture, which I will be making into one later in the stream. But this is a microworm culture that's culturing well. Every month you would take a different container, like I would use the same size container, put fresh mashed potatoes in there, and then take a clump of the old culture and put it in there, and I'll start it. The only thing is you're only taking like a spoonful or two out of this one, so you still have the rest of this culture that's full of worms that you can't use. I mean, I guess you can if you want to make 100 cultures, but it's so hard to transition over to a new container when you only need one spoonful out of the entire container you have. And I've seen some people who just add new mashed potatoes into it, which I guess is fine too. But with Grindal worms, every month you want to slowly, 2 weeks before the 1 month mark, you want to slowly transition to feeding instead of in the middle to one side. And then after those 2 weeks and almost all the worms are over here, you can take this half the dirt out and replace it with fresh soil. But yet again, you still have half of this tank of the soil that you took out that's full of probably worm eggs. And I guess you lose worms when you do that. Or you can start a bunch of smaller cultures. Monster Fish Gal, Florida Fish Rescue, welcome. But yeah, at the end of the stream, I'll show the Blackworm Culture I made yesterday. And I'll show the cultures that I'm making now, how they're coming. And this isn't using as many organic cocoa fibers as I thought. I've made one brick, and I've made about 8 cultures with it, 8 smaller cultures, and then I'm still able to make this larger culture while I have used only half of the brick of cocoa fibers so far. And I have 3 bricks, so that'll last me quite a while, which is good. Scott's Aquatics, welcome. And I'm not going to put too much more Grindal worm dirt, fresh dirt in here, given that I'm still going to put these 6 containers in there, but I want there to be plenty soil not packed down too much in there. As you can see, there's a good 2 inches in there. And these stay at room temperature. Kind of like all worms. White worms, they like cooler temperatures, but these are Grindal worms. And mine stay at 70 degrees, I would say. I keep mine higher in my room. But now they're moving down to the fish room, which will stay fairly warm. So they'll stay a good 70, 74 degrees. And you'll feed them dog food, cereal, stale bread. They'll eat pretty much any like grain-ish food, like a bagel or something. And I just put my food on a piece of plastic canvas. So then when I'm harvesting them, I can take that piece of canvas out and dip a small part of it in a container of water, and I can feed out only the worms because some dirt will get in there. But I can feed out the worms like that. And I'll post the link in chat for anybody that would like to join in a minute because my hands are nice and dirty right now. So I'm not going to touch my computer when my hands are caked in dirt. I'm going to pin the link. Post the link.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I know. But that way, when I have to go run up and grab some dog food and there was something else, I can have my father up here and he can show Microbursts or something. Or the new fish tanks. That's why I went live a few minutes late. I think it was like 10 minutes late or something. Because we are on the road back and getting some more fish tanks. I think we got 120 high and 220 longs. No, 220 highs and 120 long.
Yes.
Yeah. So now this rack is almost complete. There's room for something here.
A 20 high.
Another 20 high can go here, and then the 10-gallon tank can go up there. But other than that, pretty much this rack is filled out. It's filled out a good amount. That's always nice. And we have plans for the corner over on the other side. And there'll be a rack of 3 or 4 tens here. And that'll be for worms and guppy babies. So, now the one. And this should be a good amount. I'll probably add a little bit more. But a lot of worms are going in here, so I want to try and have it filled to like here with substrate, like in all, old substrate and new substrate. So I'm going to try and make the middle a bit lower. So I'm going to put a lot of the old substrate, old soil from my existing cultures in the middle. And then some will go over to the sides as well. But I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of like a dip in the middle, and then it gets larger on the sides. So now that my hands are freezing cold, I can barely feel them. Now I'm going to put the old cultures in there.
It's a bucket of water.
This one?
It's fish water.
Alright, so now that my hands are nice and warm.
That one behind you.
Huh?
That one behind you.
Now I'm going to dump some of the old cultures.
Pin the link.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna pin the link all my hands are actually clean. Darn it, I don't have YouTube open. And if I'm ever lagging, let me know, because I didn't restart my computer like I normally do for streams. So just let me know if I'm lagging. But I'm about to post the link in chat for anybody that would like to come up. We're getting some cool fish this week. So if my father comes up, he might show those tanks that the fish are going in.
Shopping.
He's online shopping. But yeah, so I'm done with the new substrate, and it's a little bit up on the sides, but I'll get that down. And I'm gonna save these containers because I thought of a good idea. So whenever I sell and ship these, instead of shipping them like this, because the dirt bounces around a lot, I was going to just take a handful of this culture when it gets going and just put it in a plastic bag and ship that. But I actually found if I leave this empty, so it's already ready, it's got the air holes and it's already a good sized container, and then I ship the Ziploc bag of worm dirt in here, just the actual bag sitting in the container, then it won't bounce around too much and it won't make a mess. And a person will have the container to put their new worms in. So it's always nice. I'm not saving the plastic canvas, so I'm putting that in water. So if there's any worms in there, I'll save them after. But I have this first container of worms going in. There's not many worms in this one, but I'm just gonna put them right in the middle. Alright, the dirt is nice and warm. And now that most of it's out of the container, I'm gonna rinse these containers out after. Save any worms. Actually, I already put water in this one. You don't want your cultures too wet, but you don't want them dry. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So now that one culture's in, I'm just going to kind of repeat the process. I do have these small cultures that have worm castings in them, and I don't think these are doing too good. I'm going to keep the worm casting cultures in their separate ways. But I'm taking the plastic canvas out. You can see those nice worms. And while my father tells you about these tanks and what's going in them, I'm going to dump some more worm dirt in my tank.
I wasn't talking, I think they could hear me.
Talk loud enough and they can hear you on my thing. So that tank, there's going to be false Julie or false July quarries in there. And those are going to be to breed. And then that tank, there's going to be crib babies. I didn't know what you were showing because I was on YouTube. But yeah, that'll be for crib babies, and then albino cribs are going in that one.
Those are the new tanks we just picked up.
And then that 40 breeder will be for angel, all cichlid, or discus babies if they breed. And then the other 40 will be for angel fish babies. And if we breed these betas and they have a large spawn, we'll probably put them in there too. On the bottom will be Dumbo Dark Dragon guppies in that tank. Over there, there'll be red Tuxedo Berlin swordtails.
Fancy with the big words.
Yes, fancy big words.
Try this one.
That will be 101 Dalmatian mollies. And then in the tank he's about to show are going to be some Corydoras paleatus, or the peppered cory. And I'm getting some of those from Dan's Fish. We have one right now, but
This one's going to be the Pandacoris.
Panda Cories from Skipper. Yeah, chat's real quiet today. Haven't had anybody talk in 6 minutes. Chat's still working, that's what I was checking. And then obviously behind me, my lovely blackworms.
Oh, that's great.
These will be my blackworms, and then these are going to be for the betas that I'm going to breed. And then these are going to be for my Grindal worms that I'm making.
That's what we don't need, two of you.
Then over there.
Twice that.
Yeah, if you have worm cultures, if you put your hand like in the container, it's nice and toasty in it. It's real toasty. Hopefully somebody in this house, other than my father, is watching this and can grab me a container of dog food from the hallway and a pipette. But this is the next one going in. This isn't my best producing culture. This is my second large culture. This is my first culture, but I haven't fed them in a little bit, so they're crawling up the sides. So, time for a change.
Boy, this one hangs out by himself. Or herself.
Yeah, she had that one thread fin rainbow corners herself away from the other ones.
Over this way, over here.
So pretty much all the dirt gets out, and then whatever doesn't get out, just gonna put some water in here, shake it around a little bit, and then dump it back in. There will be some dirt and some worms left, but I will get them out after. Thank you. So this is the dog food. I'm going to show you how to feed that after. Pipette. So this is my best producing culture, but it hasn't been the best producing culture because I haven't fed them a little bit. But like I said, I'm just taking the plastic canvas out. There's lots of worms in this one. And a lot of them are crawling up the sides because they're unhappy. And this one's just going to go straight in like the other ones. This one has the most worms. I'd say I would want to say there's probably 1,000 worms in here. And you don't want them to overpopulate your container. If I fed my fish Grindal worms more often, then they wouldn't overpopulate the container as much. And you don't want to just feed one food. Like you don't want to just feed a dry food or just one sort of live food. And I rambled about this yesterday on my stream, but for betas, if we breed the betas, they're going to need these live foods. And that's not the only reason why we have these live foods. Just it's so easy to culture them. And especially like microworms, you can get the instant mashed potatoes at like your grocery store, which for some people is closer than their local fish store. So it's a continuous source of food instead of constantly going and buying more flakes. So I'm gonna pack this down a little bit, but for the top of the dirt, I'm gonna cut a bit of a large piece of plastic canvas. And this is what I put the food on, so it makes it easier for culturing them. Basically, the worms and the dirt are under it, and if you put the food on top of it, some worms will eat it from the underside, but some will be on top. And then what I do is I just dip the plastic canvas in a container of water, and then the worms come out. But you don't want to dip the entire thing in water, because then you'll get more worms than what you need, unless you're planning on feeding them all within a certain time span. Yet again, some people need a lot of worms to feed. But I'm just taking a sponge that was in my culture and getting some of the dirt off the sides. If anybody has any questions about worms, feel free to ask them in the chat. Fish Tropic, welcome. I'll read that in a minute. Quick tip whenever dealing with cultures, try not to touch your face. It's good practice, just think COVID. Yeah.
What you just did.
Yeah, exactly what I did.
Our suggestion.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. I touch my worms all the time, and I always touch my face. I'm still here.
Right.
I mean, that is a good tip, though, so people should actually listen. Yeah.
Fish eat worms. We eat fish.
We eat worms.
We eat worms. Circle of life.
Yeah, so I'm taking the rinsed pieces of plastic canvas out of the mucky water. And then I'm going to try and find some of the worms. Well, realistically, I could probably just pour this all in. It's not going to make a huge difference because it's not that much water. Because the coconut fibers will just absorb that and then hold the moisture. So now that I use my water, now I need more water.
Fish water?
Any water?
It's over here.
That bucket? Okay. Should I use this container? So I have a container of somebody's water. Building a strong immune system. This one is. So I have my small container of water, and I'm just going to put a couple pieces of dog food in there, because for these larger containers, I would feed 2 pieces of dog food each day, and then these smaller ones will get 1 each day. So the larger one will probably need a small handful. And if I ever do white worms, which culture so much faster, if I ever do white worms, they need a lot more dog food. I wear gloves, call me OCD. I always think cross-contamination from me. Yeah, when I see people clean their Blackworm Cultures online, they always use gloves too. But that's just not me.
I like dirt.
Whatever. It's just dirt and worms and bacteria. Won't kill you. Worms don't bite. They don't scare me. But yeah, smart people should definitely follow that rule though. And you definitely should not eat while playing with your worms. Because that's kind of the same concept as touching your face. But yet again, I don't follow many rules.
You did that for your mother.
Patty's. You know she's probably watching this. Patty's Petite Tanks, welcome. Olivia said hi, Terry. Is Terry in here? I don't see his chat come through on thing. It's on YouTube, but he typed in chat all capitals cribs. You can't see it on StreamYard, but it's all caps cribs. So it's not showing on StreamYard just because I guess all capitals is against the rules, but
Terry's against rules.
exactly. So whatever. White worms need to be kept cooler than most fish room temperatures. They are also too large for many of the smaller types of fish we keep. Yeah, I do have discus, and my mother's going to get some angels this week.
Signals.
Yeah, and we have larger cichlids. So if I do white worms, they'll be outside on the rack outside the room to keep them a bit cooler. White worms, smaller cousin to red wiggler earthworms. Awesome. I was on Get Gills and I was on Live Foods Plus store. Live Food Supply or Live Foods Plus store. And I found blue white worms. So they weren't white. But they are white worms that were dyed blue somehow. And then there were also a green variation and then a red variation of that, which I thought were so cool. And then there was regular white worms. But I don't know if that would be safe to feed. I guess they would be because this is a live food store and they probably feed it to their fish too. But I don't know. Scary Terry in the house. You guys in Canada? Are you asking us if we're in Canada? No. We're in New York.
She sound Canadian.
Do I sound Canadian?
You say yeah for everything. What do you mean, eh?
What do you mean, eh? I don't say that.
Don't say that because I'm Canadian people.
Hey, what's your language? This is a live stream on YouTube.
I forgot.
Of course, we're not on Terry's stream, but he went there. New York and Toronto.
That's Toronto, Canada.
Got it. Really similar. Nice. Never knew that New York and Canada were similar. I mean, yet again, I don't know half the states of the world. I know there's 49 or
States of the world?
60 or something, like 52. 50? Something.
What? I beat your teacher. She's not learning you well.
Is there 50?
Yes.
50 states of the world? I might have seen that on our fish collective.
50 states
50 states and 7 seas.
in the United States.
But yeah, I must have seen that on our fish collective because it's like we only ship to the lower 48. Sorry, Alaska and Hawaii. I didn't know that Alaska and Hawaii were on the top of the world.
But they just don't ship because it's overseas.
Okay. Well, I put my dog food in there and got all the soil and everything else in there. Geography isn't her strong subject, thank you.
Who said that?
Terry,
No.
how many states in the USA, not world?
Right. Because you kept saying 50 states in the world.
Well, it isn't.
50 states make up the United States. The place we live.
There's more than just the United States.
You're a dork.
I know there's like the UK, but I thought like 50 was like in the whole.
7 continents. 50 states make up the United States.
There's 7 seas.
7 seas.
Across the 7 seas in the Erie Canal.
I'm beating up your geography teacher again.
Our geography teacher would be Mr. Dewars. So he doesn't teach us much. But,
Oh shit.
hey, no swearing.
Sorry.
But I have my soil, my plastic canvas, and my dog food in there. So I'll probably steal my father's phone and show you what it looks like. Jacob's Aquatics, soon to be Triple J Aquatics, said, "Hey Fish Fam," hitting the like button, saying, "Hey, hope everyone is having a great day." Thank you.
Hey Jacob. Watch this one.
Alrighty, so this is what it looks like.
My phone's on mute. So.
This is what it looks like. And it's got some organic potting soil in it too, because that's just how my first culture came, and I just kept it because I don't think it really affected it. I don't think they do good in the worm casting, so I probably wouldn't recommend that to people. But I'm using organic cocoa fibers, and that seems to help them produce pretty fast. But if you can see that, there's little, I guess, yellow streaks on there, and those are the worms actually coming through already. So that is my culture, my new Grindal Worm Culture, and it's exciting. I think microworms are going to take longer because there's going to be 3 of them. I have to cut holes in the lids and everything. Speaking of lids, lid. Where it go? What go? The microworms? They go in those containers and the mashed potatoes. They're going to go over here for right now. Wow, haha, dad, lol. For him swearing. I can't see Terry either. I can see Terry. I can see Terry now. He comes through. He comes through StreamYard now, but when he put cribs in all caps, I didn't see him. I don't know if that's because StreamYard or YouTube thinks it's like spam, but I don't know. Benoski's Takes, welcome.
The worms over here.
Yeah, probably. I'm moving my stuff out of the way because you're going to do stuff, I bet. I'm just going to try and gather all the lids and everything. There is some soil on the ground because it does get a bit messy. But everything will just have to be shoved into a corner until after the stream. Which is fine because I'll just pick it up right after. I do have to wash some of these containers. And some, bless you.
Okay.
2 of these still have worms in them. But I'm just going to pick everything up. Everything that I don't need for microworms. The dog food will have to stay down here. I'll have to find a good jar for that. I'll be right back. Bree isn't letting me up. Oh my God, Cherry, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were sitting there. Hi, Terry.
I just wanted to show, since we were showing crebensis, I had to show one too.
Awesome.
Of course, you can't see them now, and it's an algae-covered mess, but...
What's happening, Terry?
Not much. I put a camera in front of a fish tank, and all the fish I wanted to show were all out and about and having a great time, and I stuck a camera in there, and yeah, they all disappeared.
Well,
I swear to God, there is crebensis in there, though.
It's probably too big.
Somewhere. There you go. That female, I swear to God, if that female doesn't lay eggs soon, she's going to pop.
Mine?
No, the mine.
Oh. There's one. I don't know where she went.
Yeah, there's one in his tank that's really large.
Where she's right in front of the plant.
Oh, yeah. They almost look exactly the same. Yeah, if they don't lay eggs real soon, they're gonna explode.
Yeah. We went to a couple. We had to pick up
Worms.
3 fish tanks today.
Oh.
So I was looking for a couple extra females. Yesterday we went to Benson's fish store and they had 1 female in the tank. I go, I'll take that one. Just to make sure I had another one.
Hey, look, I have 2 lids. Look at that. I got 2 lids on this milkshake thing. Petroman, welcome. I'm downstairs, so Skechers probably can't come down. I'm terribly sorry about that.
Sorry.
Maybe my sister can pop up on the stream and show her to you. But yeah, like I said, I'm downstairs, so she can't pop in and bring Skechers. Well, I mean, she can, but she's probably not allowed to. But realistically, when you're making the Grindal worms, I forgot to point this out, you want to get like a casserole dish, like your mother's good casserole dish, and put dirt in it and then microwave it to sterilize it, especially if it's sitting in your basement. And then
Does Sandy approve this message?
Probably not. And then for Grindal worms and microworms, you want to bleach the containers, like a diluted bleach solution, and rinse them really well to make sure there's no mites already living in there. So, yeah, and you want to make sure there's adequate airflow. So we'll be poking holes in these after. But I have a container of water for making the instant mashed potatoes. Don't dirty my new desk. Oh my God, Skechers came down. Hold on. Skechers is here and Olivia looks like a vampire. Skechers arrived in the basement in the fish room. The room is cooling off for Skechers because the door's open. But Skechers is here. Skechers has arrived.
Where's your back?
Okay. I'll just keep Skechers. But
I don't mean to derail anything, but I had a sugar glider that I would put in a ball like that. But I also have 2 German Shepherds. It didn't work out too well.
Yeah, we have a dog too, and if Skechers gets loose, like in her bowl, then he'll start pawing at the thing.
Friends of ours had sugar gliders. They made a cool little thing in their house for them.
They're a really neat. They're a really neat marsupial to have. They are pretty cool.
Yeah. So I want to show this little part of the desk. So right here, our root tabs hang up, and I think it's so cute. And I just
You are way too organized for me.
Yeah, I didn't do that though. But if you see my room, it's fairly organized as well.
But I do know how many states there are. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I think me and your teacher gotta have a talk.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna put a good amount of mashed potatoes in there because once I add the water and everything, there will be a lot of mashed potatoes. That's good because the worms are gonna crawl up the sides. Now, I've never made a microworm culture in one of these containers. I always use much taller containers, and
You do know you're getting yelled at by your mom, right?
it's okay.
It's a family show.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna make
Oh, the royal is out.
these instant mashed potatoes, and this is supposed to be made with milk and butter, but you don't want to use milk and butter with your microworms. So I use water, which is what you should use. You can also make oats on the stove and then let them cool down, and then use that as your medium for your microworms. But I find instant mashed potatoes is a lot easier because you don't need to make them on the stovetop, so you can just kind of whip them up in a small container, and you want them to be a bit watery, but not soupy.
Every time I pick up the camera, she shoots to the back.
Hey, I'm just proud that that royal pleco actually came out on camera. You guys don't know how rare of an occasion this actually is.
Hey, how do I get that back? I broke it.
Yeah.
Wow, like magic.
Yeah. Just changing the tab. Terry, haha, how many capitals are there?
I'd be willing to bet there's 50.
John Cox said oats last longer without molding, but the mashed potatoes are faster to make. Yeah. I haven't had any of these mold yet, which is a good thing. I try and stay on top of the maintenance of the worms. Sometimes I don't feed them every day because they haven't finished their food from the day before, but I never let it go more than a few days because I don't want it to mold terribly. The Carver family, welcome. Petraman said, Terry, that pleco's beautiful.
I can't believe it's on camera.
Oh, did it actually come out?
Yeah, it's actually out.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll probably have to set up the baby brine machine. And that's going to
he's
go
gone.
facing. Are these microworms? Yes, Fish Tropic. I'm making some microworms. I made my Grindal worms earlier in the stream. I'm not sure if you were there or not, but yes, I'm making microworms. And you know the best thing to do when you're making microworms is not leave your microworm cultures upstairs when you're trying to make cultures downstairs, which is what I just realized I did. So don't do that if you're trying to stream and make microworm cultures. But yet again, I did forget a lot of supplies upstairs because we got home and I was like, oh, I got to go stream. And I grabbed everything that came to the top of my mind, and I forgot my microworm cultures on my shelf. So I'll have to grab those. But no biggie. I mean, you can't make microworm cultures without microworms. I mean, I guess you can. I think it's like potatoes. Like an actual potato. Maybe. But yes, these are microworms. And I don't feed microworms very often. That's why we're not making a large culture. And because microworms don't smell all that great. So, and if anybody in the other part of my family is listening, please bring down a measuring scoop from behind my door.
I need that. I need to have people around here where I can just be streaming and say, "Hey, bring me whatever I'm missing at the appropriate time."
I mean, I would. It'd be a lot difficult if I leave something upstairs and I was the only one like in the house streaming or something, and then I would have to run up or bring my laptop to go.
It looks like that rack in the basement's coming along, man. It looks like you got some tanks with water in them, and
Yeah, those are for the albino cribs, any baby cribs that come, Julie cribs, and we went with
No, July cores.
Yeah.
Julie cores.
July crib. These are 240s, and that's for any bigger fish like the cichlids, the discus, and this one's for the angels. We were gonna do 240s over here, and we went with well, we gotta get one more, but we went with 320 eyes on this side. So I don't know. We have more small fish babies.
I'm going to show these microworms real quick. So this is one of my cultures, and I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. It smells like moldy bread. Actually, it smells like a buttery roll from Golden Corral. But I wish it showed up on camera, but like the middle of it kind of swirls in a circle because so many small worms are moving around. But there's lots of worms in here. This entire container is filled with worms all through the mashed potatoes. And I'm probably going to end up wasting some worms because I can't put this entire 2 cultures in these containers. So, but hopefully these cultures get going within the next few days. And then I'll have plenty of microworms to start feeding to my baby fry. But I have been needing to redo these microworm cultures because they have been going for a while. But the worms are still alive.
Fish Tropic, I did see that comment, by the way, and it didn't work out. I had a black lab, and he would just drink the beers on his own. It didn't work out. If you've ever seen a black lab chew a can of beer, trust me, they can do it.
So yeah, so this will probably smell this entire fish room pretty quickly. But they do not smell very nice. But they're great for feeding for your fish, the microworms. Petroman said I'll stick with my live blackworms. I keep them in the refrigerator, change some water every day, no smell. Yeah. We set up that blackworm culture yesterday. It doesn't have a smell because there's aeration. And we're keeping it room temp so they breed. And I found another way to ship those too. I found new ways to ship all my worms. So.
Okay, I got a question for you, Brianne.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to keep strange things in your refrigerator? Because I'm not. Trust me, I've kept a lot of fish foods, and I had to buy my own refrigerator because my wife was like, "Oh, heck no."
I keep some live blackworms in the refrigerator because my mother agrees to it because they're for her pea puffers and betas mainly. We keep tons of containers of thawed out frozen food and then a container of phytoplankton.
So I'm going to throw this out there. Sandy, you are a very responsible, or not responsible, understanding person to allow you to keep fish food in your fridge.
Yeah, she's understanding. She married me.
That makes me a saint.
Fish Tropic said just get a small fridge, and I did have to do that. I have a fridge that is specifically for my fish room.
We actually have a small dorm fridge that we use like once a year, and that was a thought to have
Just fish. Yeah.
fish and worms and stuff like that in there, but I never brought that up.
I mean, I guess they're fine where they are. They don't take up that much room in the fridge. But this is one Microbursts culture. I forgot to kind of talk through how I did it. But basically, I just made some instant mashed potatoes with some water. And I took quite a few spoonfuls, more than you're really supposed to, of microworms from one of my existing cultures. And I put them on top of the fresh microworms. And then I kind of even them out by shaking them to be even. And that's pretty much it. And then you want to cut a hole in the lid to make sure that there's adequate airflow. But we'll cut lids after I'm done with all of these. So this is one, and I'm going to go make two more. Well, I'm not going to go. I'm going to sit right. I'm going to stand right here.
They do stink.
They do. So when you first open them, they kind of smell like freshly toasted rolls from a restaurant. But then when you leave them open, they kind of smell like sour bread vinegar, I guess. Petraman said, my wife don't care about the worms, but bring a hamster home and she's leaving. Go figure. Fish Tropic said, when you start selling cultures, you'll need a space. Locally, I've sold thousands of cultures. You'll need space for when I start selling cultures. I've already sold a few cultures, and it doesn't take up that much room. And what I'm thinking about doing is just getting like a box of Ziploc bags, and there's a little compartment up at the top of this thing. You probably can't see it, but there is a little compartment up there that we can always put a box of bags in there. And then whenever we sell Grindal Worm Culture, we can just put a handful or two in that bag. And then when we sell the micro worms, they can be sold in little deli cups that are in a plastic bag so they don't leak. And then Blackworms we already have bags for. Tank Top said just wanted to stop in and say hi. Also hit that like. Everyone have a good day. All right. Fish Tropic said if someone wants a ready culture to feed, you need a worm fridge. Interesting. Yeah, we have plenty of little nooks and crannies. We can always shove another culture. Shipping, it is a different story. Nice. I'm gonna make the next culture now. I'll probably need my other box of mashed potatoes, but it'll be fine. So Fish Tropic, what kind of cultures do you have? What cultures do you keep and sell and ship? I guess I should ask. I'm going to put a little bit less mashed potatoes in this one than I did the other one because it did fill it up quite a lot. But I really don't want to waste these cultures.
Wait a minute. You're not using a scientific measuring cup to get the correct amount of mashed potatoes?
No.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
Did you ever get your waders yesterday, Terry?
Hell no.
I didn't think so.
Was he waiting?
He was gonna go get waders. He was talking about. He goes, tomorrow I'm going to get waders. I saw you stream for a while.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Petraman said, Sandy, Brianne has a package coming on Wednesday. Wednesday. Yeah, I don't even know what it is. I have some ideas, but I don't know what it is. So we'll see. I guess I'll know when it shows up at our front door. But I have a couple ideas of what it might be. So yeah, Fish Tropic. What kind of cultures do you have? Do you have like vinegar eels? Or cool worms? Well, my worms are cool. I think my worms are cool. So that's me. But I don't have white worms, banana worms, Walter worms, or vinegar eels. And those are the ones that I know of that I don't have. And ones that are similar to microworms, like banana and Walter worms, we don't really need. But vinegar eels, I'll probably have to get, since we're going to breed the 2 betas that we have already. Okay, Joe, we should be here all day. Except for at 4, because we have to leave at 4.
But I'll be home.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever comes earlier.
Until about 3:30 anyways. Oh, yeah, I didn't read that. If it's coming FedEx Express, they normally come around 3:30 here anyways. Which is good.
Yeah. Hopefully the strip plugs will be here this week. And then we can start filling the middle row of tanks. And what else are we waiting for?
Air stones.
Air stones. And filters.
Sponge filters.
Sponge filters. They'll be here Tuesday. Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah,
which sponge filters did you get?
We kind of jumped around with some different ones.
ones.
The spongy one.
Yeah, the sponge ones.
Squishy ones.
We went with the doubles for the 20 lows. And I don't remember the brand.
Aqua something.
Yeah, Aqua something.
Aqua Top?
I don't know. It was the other day I found it. I sent it to Sandy. She ordered it. But we went with that with the 20 longs. And we have filters in the 20 highs, and then we got a couple more of them.
Yeah, I was just being curious. I didn't mean to derail anything. Inquiring minds wanted to know.
They're different. Well, we bought those tanks last 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. It's like a coarser sponge filter on there. And being that there was going to be babies, I kind of thought maybe that was a better way to go rather than the aquarium co-op ones that are, I don't know what I said about the filters. They're just tighter. The aquarium co-op ones have a lot of glue. So I thought maybe with, they get in there or something. So.
All right. Petroman said, "Oh boy, so I hope someone will be here. It's overnight shipping. My father will be here.
Yeah, they'll be here till 3:30, and then I get home at 3:34.
Okay, if it's discus, they came around 3:00 both times.
No,
What?
you're open.
If it is discus, watch your comments.
Huh?
Hans will be shipping out Tuesday. Oh, well now I know that it's discus.
No, it could be.
He ordered you a pig.
A pig. It could be a pig.
It could be a sticker. You don't know.
Um.
I want a sticker. I'm gonna get a guy to make me sign.
Oh darn! I said his name. Now she will know.
Oh, look at that! That female crib is trying to really induce that male. Of course, now it quit. But man, she was all sideways and doing her thing. That was cool. Sorry, I'm busy looking at my fish tanks.
Yesterday over there. Oh, that one's trying to be too.
Then I say something and she quits and they all disappear.
Yeah, where do you see the other one?
Well, Petroman, now I know that it's discus. Unless it's something else from Discus Hans.
Yeah,
But I know you did say that it's alive, so yeah, they're normally here around 3:30. And if they come, I don't know, I probably won't be here to acclimate them the entire time because I normally acclimate them for a good hour, but I will be able to unbox them and start acclimating them. But darn.
I'm gonna watch, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, if I knew that it was discus and it was coming Wednesday,
I'd reschedule my appointment.
I'd reschedule my appointment. What was I gonna say? Can Hans ship out on Wednesday?
Yeah.
No? Okay. I didn't know. Well, no one's gonna be here to finish the acclimation.
I will be here.
So you're gonna put the discus in my tank. Okay. You be careful with them then.
I've seen a fish before.
You be careful. These are discus. These are precious. And if anything. Well,
No, but-
at least I get to unbox them so I can see them. And I don't even know what color they are. So that it's still a surprise, Petroman, because I don't know what kind they are. But there is no such thing as an ugly discus.
Okay.
Did you just say okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut up.
Fish Tropic said mayflies are a great food source right now. Go down by some water, catch some with a bug net.
Here.
Fish love flies. Not
Yeah.
here.
Not here yet.
It's
Not
too
here.
cold.
So cold out still.
You know, a food that I've fed a lot of my fish through the years that people don't think of, and it's more for like a reptile thing, but I have fed a crap ton of crickets to my fish. Fish love crickets.
Wow. Interesting.
And you can gut load them. You can actually feed your crickets fish food, you know, like Tetra Flake. So they're gut loaded with the fish food in them, and then feed the crickets. Get the small ones. Sometimes they call them pinheads. They're baby crickets. And I mean, that's the whole thing of like what bug bites are, really, just ground up crickets. So yeah, go to your local fish shop and get some crickets and feed them to your fish. You'll be amazed. They'll eat the heck out of them.
We'll have to try that sometime.
They have crickets at Petco. I don't know if they have them at Benson's.
I don't think they do. Crickets freeze dried. I buy them by 1,000 pack. Interesting.
It's just one of those foods that fish keepers don't necessarily think of right off the get go. But yeah, your fish will eat the heck out of crickets. Trust me.
Cool. Yeah, I've never tried crickets because I never thought of them as a fish food. Normally I just feed like dry or live foods and frozen foods. I have gel foods. And freeze-dried foods. I don't feed those as much. But my discus are getting so large, Petroman. So now they eat like 1 or 2 whole cubes of bloodworms per each feeding. And Petroman said, Dave can do it. He knows what he's doing. It's only one this time. This way they can help you. They can grow large and pair off. I would keep it at 5 for your size tank. Remember, nitrates will build up as they grow. Got it. Fish Tropic said Terry only wholesaler sells freeze dried for fish. Think only see live in stores. Grasshoppers too, and then maggots.
Yes, fish tropic, maggots. What are those other bee moth larvae? Yeah, those are all good for your fish. I'm just happy that Royal Pleco is actually out on camera. We named him Rico, by the way, but I'm not going to say why. Dave got it. I heard a laugh.
You know, you got that catfish there. And I looked all over for one of those. I don't even see those things anywhere.
Which one?
The blue Rochelle. Blue Rochelle catfish. I didn't see it anywhere. It's kind of cool looking catfish. Like I need another fish.
Always need more fish. Hey Terry, I FMU diffuse your light, it will come out more.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I was looking at something else. What?
I don't even understand that. It says, "Hey Terry, I FMU diffuse your light."
Diffuse the light.
Yeah.
I think he's referring to the Royal Pleco that, you know, if I keep the lights off, he'll come out more.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But what fun is that? If I'm the only person that sees it, then what's the point of having it? Typical Pleco.
Petroman said you should have a pair with 5 discus. Awesome. Yeah, we have a 40 breeder. Well, 2 40 breeders for angelfish babies, cichlid babies, and discus babies. So whichever one has babies. We have 2 40 breeders. So if the discus had babies, I mean, that would be awesome. And we would have 2 40 breeders. Well, we'd have 1 40 breeder for them, depending on how many there are. But Petroman has bred discus before, so maybe he knows around how many they have each time. Because I don't. I made these mashed potatoes a bit more watery than the other ones.
I don't know. I'm hungry now, though. I know that.
Oh, yeah. Fish Tropic said, "Hey, Terry, if you diffuse your light, the pleco will come out more." Sorry, spell check.
Yeah, I get it, but you know, if I turn the lights off, then nobody can see them. So what's the point?
Yeah. Our pleco is always out right before the lights are set to turn off.
Yeah, they know. They got an internal clock going on. They know when the lights are going to come on. They know when they're going to go off. And
yep. John Croft said, "Go to Herp's store to get pinhead crickets used to feed baby reptiles."
That's just what they call baby crickets, is pinheads. And I'm telling you, your fish will eat the heck out of pinheads.
Well, we might try them sometime. We have a lot of food cultures, though. Live food cultures. I'm going to show my mother how to culture each one sometime. which will be fun. I love teaching people about worms.
You're making a mess on that desk.
No, I'm not. If you don't look at it, you don't see it. It'll go away. Yeah, so if you have microworms, you know that they smell terrible. I'm trying to avoid getting near them now. Because, I mean, they're nice and bright white because of the mashed potatoes. But they're just so gross. They're definitely the worms that I don't culture a lot. And that's due to their horrible smell. I just don't really like to constantly open and contain it. It's kind of gross. So.
Obviously, you've never had an infusoria culture go bad. For those of you that have
we've never
grown
done
infusoria, when it rots, it stinks.
Yeah.
This is like vinegar and like really, really stale beer.
Smells like my basement.
John Cox said banana worms, Walter worms, and microworms are all different species of the same things, so all culture the same. Yeah, I've wanted to try banana and Walter worms, but I feel like they're all kind of the same size, and they have all kind of the same purpose. So
Right.
So I don't know if I would do them all necessarily. I might just stick to my microworms and probably just get vinegar eels in the future. And maybe white worms, but vinegar eels would be something we need for the betas. Petroman said, you have to be patient with them. My wild female took 5 tries before they got it right. She would lay the eggs and eat them before the male could fertilize them. Then on the 5th try, she did it right. Awesome.
Is Petroman referring to Crebensis or I don't know.
Discus.
Oh, discus. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he bred his discus. John Cox said, Walter are the smallest, banana are the largest, and bananas reproduce faster. Awesome. And where do microworms fall on that scale? Are like microworms in between Walter and banana worms? If so, then banana worms would be something to look into. The larger the worms, I find they're better for feeding to the fish because I actually see them, but just not too large. Otherwise, the fish won't eat them. But I would say blackworms are definitely something that we feed a lot of. And then Grindal worms are like the second most. Because microworms, they're really small and not a whole lot of our fish eat them. Because we have we don't really have large fish. We kind of have nano fish that don't go crazy for microworms. John Cox said in the middle, when it comes to these tiny foods, I like smaller as it is first food for many egg-laying fish after infusoria. I've never done infusoria because, I tried it once. But I want to try to do like duckweed infusoria. But I need to actually know how to do it correctly.
Make green water. Just have a tank go green and you'll grow infusoria just like crazy.
Okay. That seems like something we could do. Do you make infusoria? Terry?
Yes, I do. I actually have one 10-gallon tank. I guess I could show it. Yeah, that tank right there. Yeah, that's infusoria. That's actually a fish tank. I swear to God, people, it's not just a green screen. That's infusoria.
How do you
And
picture it?
it is just full of just all kinds of microfauna and just it's just full of stuff. That's why a lot of if you read a lot of the old books, they'll say green water. It's not necessarily the green water because that's a single cell algae, but all the other microorganisms eat that single cell algae. And yeah, if you put really tiny itty bitty fry in that green water, they'll grow like crazy right off the get go.
Yeah. We had green water happen twice in one of our tanks. Well, twice, 2 or 3 times total in our tanks ever. And we tried to get rid of it, and we got rid of it with like a UV sterilizer because we couldn't see any of the fish. So
Yeah, when we say infusoria, we're not talking about a particular animal. We're talking about just like microfauna in general, and they use what John Cox is saying is that the microalgae actually feeds the other organisms that's in that water, and that's why when you'll see in a lot of literature about feeding really tiny fry like rainbows. Rainbows are notorious for having really small babies. And they're too small to have micro worms. They're too small to have baby brain shrimp. So we use green water, and you just scoop some of that green water out and put it in your fish tank. They'll eat it, but they're eating that microfauna that is feeding off of that single cell algae. Sorry, I didn't mean to bore everybody. My bad.
no, I actually think it's cool. So do baby betas eat that?
I'm sure they would.
Okay. Does the green water, like putting the green water in your aquarium, does that turn that aquarium green with the diatoms? I guess?
Yeah, that depends on the fish tank. It might. It depends on the tank. If that single cell algae gets a chance to take hold, it's going to take hold. If the balance in your tank and that all those single cell algae don't have enough to survive, then they're going to die off. So, yeah, it depends on the tank.
Yeah, John Cox is saying when it comes to these tiny foods, I like smaller as is first food for many egg-laying fish. After infusoria, bananas are not that much larger, but adult guppies will eat water worms. It is hard to do when you want to and easy to do when you don't want it. The actual green water feeds the micro animals. And then the last message he put in chat was, in a book written in the 60s that I got in the 70s, it said to put a couple tablespoons of milk into a quart of tank water. It was another old way of growing micro animals.
You can, yeah, there's micro, this microfauna that we talk about happens in every tank. It's going on whether you see it or not. It's going around in the background of your tank, and it's just the whole balance thing. And when you have the green water, that just means that one particular thing has gotten a foothold and allows all these other little organisms to thrive, and that's what we're trying to feed our fish. I'd probably explain that horribly wrong, but yeah.
So I think John Cox has bred betas before. I'm not sure, but John Cox, if you have, do you have to feed the betas vinegar eels? Like, can you skip that? Can you feed them like infusoria and then go to microworms and then other things and then like baby brine shrimp or something? I've seen some people like feed baby brine shrimp right off the bat.
It depends on the fish. Some like take angelfish. When an angelfish absorbs its yolk sac and it's free swimming, it is completely capable of taking baby brine shrimp. But if you take a neon tetra, I'm pointing to a tank like you guys can see me. If you take a neon tetra, that its fry, when it finally absorbs its yolk sac, is not capable of eating a baby brine shrimp. They're just literally too small. So that's when you bring in the infusoria and green water, that microfauna, and there's two different ways of doing it. Okay, you can just add a little bit of that green water to your tank and let those fry, hunt for those foods, or you can simply have a green tank and put your fry in that green tank. A guy I learned it from said, you can either bring the soup to the fish or put the fish in the soup. And it's just the different ways of doing stuff, but you need that microfauna, that zooplankton, we are honestly talking about stuff on a microscopic level. And that's how some fry are big when they're born, like African cichlids. African cichlids can take flake food right off the get-go. By the time they absorb their yolk sac, they're big enough to where they can just take a prepared food. But there's some fish, rainbow fish especially, they're just so incredibly small that a powdered food's just not going to cut it.
Okay. Well, that
Sorry.
makes much more sense.
Man, I can bore people in a heartbeat.
I actually think it was an interesting story. I learned quite a few things from your spiel. So, have you bred crebensis before, Terry?
Yes.
What do those babies need? And
They'll hit the ground running with baby brine shrimp and powdered foods.
Okay. And
once their egg sac is absorbed, they're usually pretty feisty, and you don't have to do anything special.
Okay. And since they're a female in the 75 that looks like she's gonna lay eggs, should we take her out and put her in a different tank to lay her eggs with a male?
No.
Okay.
I just leave them alone. They'll eventually find a cave, or they'll find a spot, and they'll lay their eggs, and they'll take care of them. And they're really good parents. Crebensis are really, really good parents. So they generally don't have a problem with eating their own eggs, and just leave them alone. They'll figure it out.
Okay.
I do recommend, though, getting a hut or a cave, because they are cave spawners. So if you get that terracotta cave or the coconut shell, upside down coconut shell, something like that, because they will lay their eggs. They want to lay their eggs upside down instead of like an Oscar or a substratum spawner where they lay their eggs in the substrate. The crebensis lay their eggs upside down on a roof of something. They're kind of weird that way.
Yeah, there's four coconut huts in the 75 right now, and they go in and out of those.
Okay, yeah, all right. You do have the shells in there, so they'll figure it out. They'll do it on their own.
Jess, welcome. Jess said, I have caves for mine, and I do not separate them until I didn't want them to breed anymore. Okay, awesome.
Now, what I'll do, what I will do is once I know they spawned and that they laid eggs in that hut, like I said, I use the terracotta one with just a small hole, and I'll feed them and let the parents come out, and then I'll put my thumb over the hole and just transfer that hut to another tank to grow the babies out, depending on, because if I have other fish in there, the tank I have them in right now, those tetras, when the baby cribs come out of that hut, those tetras are gonna just destroy them. So I'll physically remove where the babies are, and then the parents actually will breed quicker again. So if you want to keep producing, spawn after spawn, you just keep replacing that terracotta cave, and yeah, you'll get babies like crazy. Ask Jess. I mean, she knows how easy a crib can spawn. I mean, you'll have babies like crazy.
Muppet, welcome. So have you ever kept albino crebensis?
Me personally, no. I've seen them. I think they're a neat looking fish. I've just never kept them.
Okay. Well, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that albino fish eat their babies, are known to eat their babies more than regular fish.
Yeah, I
know that's the case with guppies, but
the problem with when it comes to like albino strains and guppies, a lot of it comes down to those fry, the babies, they don't see very well, so they're not really good at finding food, and you can have a lot of die off. So people think, well, they're, the parents must have ate them or whatever. But it comes down to those fish aren't very good at finding food when they're little. It's true in angelfish, in angelfish as well. If you start getting into the albino types of angelfish, the fry are really difficult to raise, simply because they suck at finding food.
Petraman said, when my discus laid her eggs, I had a discus comb, but she laid the eggs on a piece of vertical driftwood instead, or the glass inside the tank.
I know the feeling. I had a pair of angelfish that I was really excited about. This is going back several years. And I had like 2 spawning slates for them to, put their eggs on. And instead, they decided to put their eggs on airline tubing. I was like, really? Come on, guys. I mean, could you pick the smallest little area in an entire fish tank to put your eggs on, and that's where you chose to do it? So sometimes your fish just do what they want to do, despite your best efforts.
Welcome, Tianaqua.
Yeah, I know you've only seen that tank like 3 times, but there's 4 coconut huts in there.
Yeah, they'll go, your cribs will go in there and they'll do their own thing. There's no reason to separate anything or.
Yeah, I did do some reading before we did get them, but. So we did get the coconut caves and a couple little hides and stuff for them and stuff like that.
Yeah, right now they're getting heaters situated for the tanks that fish are going in this week.
Once they're with crebensis, once their egg sac gets absorbed and the babies are going to come out of the shell, it is an awesome, incredible time. You guys are going to be like just plastered in front of that fish tank, because it'll be like the 2 parents and then there'll be like a whole line of little babies just following along. It's really neat.
John Cox said they must swim in their soup instead of bringing the soup to them. That is why I love Daphnia Monia or Monia. I've never done Daphnia because I don't really know much about it, and I don't know what it takes to culture it.
Man, that female wants to spawn like right now.
The one
Look
in
at
your
her.
tank.
Look at her. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, look, dude, come on, man. Except I don't have a spot for him to. I gotta go get a terracotta cave real quick.
And waiters.
And waiters.
Sandy Farrell said, I just gave them frozen Daphnia and they devoured it. Yeah, I've seen live Daphnia cultures. I don't know if it was on Get Gills or eBay, but I think they're interesting. There's lots of live food cultures out there that we don't have and probably won't have. I know there's scuds, Daphnia, mosquito larvae, vinegar eels, Walter worms, banana worms, white worms.
Mosquito larva is about the easiest that all of us can do. Just take a bucket, put a little bit of water in it, and just leave it outside. And you'll have all the mosquito larvae you could possibly want.
And do you just feed that like directly to the fish?
Yeah.
Interesting. Fish Tropics said, Terry, you salmon or trout fish?
Both and neither. I go in phases. There was a while where I fished for salmon and trout, and now I'm not so much. Now I'm more into like bass and pike and stuff like that.
Interesting. John Cox said Monia, hope I'm saying that right, are actually not Daphnia, but a smaller type, but very similar to actual Daphnia. Most say they are the same thing.
See, that's when I just look at it as green water. I don't. Once you're talking about microfauna, I don't divide it up. But I know there are people that do, and they'll know exactly what organisms they got growing in that green water. I'm more of a, yeah, it's green water, feed it to your baby fish. And I've never actually went down that rabbit hole where I'm going to examine every particular microfauna thing that's growing in there. It's like, I don't want to know. You know, if you close your eyes, then you don't need to know.
Fish Tropic said Infusoria kind of guy. Yeah, depending on what we do, if the betas actually end up breeding, I'm thinking about starting an Infusoria culture before I put them together, just in case they do breed. And if they don't breed, it's not that big of a deal because I can always just keep these other cultures going. It won't hurt anything. And yeah, and then just try again for the culture. But I'll think about doing some Infusoria, and I might not have to get vinegar eels.
Vinegar eels are actually pretty easy. And they do have their place. I don't keep them because the size vinegar eels are, like you were saying earlier, you know, I'll start off with like baby brain shrimp or green water. Once they reach the size where they're big enough that I'm not feeding them baby brain shrimp anymore, they're big enough to just take to prepared foods. So it's like, what's the point? There's just no point for me to have it.
Yeah. Fish Tropics said, I raised my barbs with Infusoria and live brine, microworms. Interesting. Um, yeah. Well, we just have to get a heater in the beta tank, and that tank might actually just go upstairs to breed them. Um, but we just need a heater in there and a couple other things, and we'll be good to breed them. Um, and we always have the 40 breeders if they had a large spawn, if they spawn at all. John Cox said Daphne are too large to be included in the Infusoria, but are the same class as microworms.
Yeah, and that comes back to the, are you going to put your fish in the soup or bring the soup to the fish? When you take a cup of green water and feed it to your fish, there's all kinds of organisms that you are putting in that tank, and the fish is going to eat some, but maybe not all. And spirulina powder is all right. I don't want to derail because we were talking about your worms, but there are a ton of modern, extremely small, commercially available foods now that we didn't have 10 years ago. So there's a ton of little powdered foods and golden pearls, and JN Aquatics brought up a company out of Canada, I think, that he uses to feed his baby clownfish, which are notoriously hard to feed. So there's a whole bunch of new foods out there that are available to breeders that we didn't have before. So do we really need to go through and, make the green water and do all these cultures? I don't know. That's something every individual fish keeper has to figure out on their own.
Yep. John Cox said vinegar eels are smaller around than BBS, so they were one of the live foods we raised in the 80s to start fish. Yes. They sound like something interesting. I'm trying to avoid getting vinegar eels just so I don't have to have another culture shipped here. Because if I can start an Infusoria culture easily, because I found some ways that you can do it. If I could start a green water colony easily in a small jar, then I won't have to do vinegar eels, hopefully. But
just so you know, if you try to grow a green water tank on purpose, it's not as easy. It happens on accident to all of us, but when you try to do one on purpose, it never happens.
Yeah. Yep. Some people have said take like a jar and then put a lot of easy green in it and then put it in a sunny window. But we haven't had sun lately. A lot of sun lately.
Hey Terry, did you lay your terracotta pots on their side, or did you cut a hole in the side of them?
No, I bought I almost said literally. I bought the ones specifically made for breeding crabenzas. They're the domes with a hole cut in them.
Yep. Yeah, if we're gonna do those albinos, there's somewhat of hiding spots, but I think they're gonna need more cave-ish type stuff.
Yeah, crabenzas are cave spawners. I mean, that's how they spawn in the wild. They lay their eggs on a roof of something. So,
okay. Well, we got that dragon stone in there, and there's holes underneath, so they can create a cave or be in a cave.
Yeah, they'll use it.
I'd like to find something like that. A couple of caves for them, so we can breed them guys. I guess.
Either today or tomorrow, I'm gonna go back to the local fish store and not buy that pike cichlid and get a couple caves, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But they're commercially available.
Just so everyone knows, we're going to end in 7 minutes because Science Scale Aquatics is going live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with Rico Stan. It's a Q&A. So we'll be ending in 6 minutes now for them to go live. And I'm not going to bother with a stupid hashtag. So.
Sorry. That's because I pick on her because she's indecisive on which one she wants to use.
Petroman said the local pet stores would sell them back then. Not sure what they're talking about then. John Cox said they're longer but smaller around. Yeah, I'm one of the old hobbyists. Nice. Tam Shepherd, welcome. Terry, did you ever go tuna fishing?
No, I've never saltwater fished. I am in the part of a country where it would be a monumental task for me to find saltwater.
John Cox said, my LFS never had them, but they had a board in the back for breeders like myself. We posted cultures and the like, but we're not allowed to post fish as we sold them to the LFS to sell to everyone.
That is a conversation we can have for a really, really long time.
Well, you should start a stream.
The way a fish shop exists today is a lot different than it was in the 70s and 80s. And it has a lot to do with, we didn't have FedEx. You know, it was really expensive to get a fish that was, say, in India or Asia to your local fish store. It was an incredibly expensive undertaking to have that happen. So the local fish stores would rely on the hobbyists. You know, what are you breeding? You know, you would actually get fish that some guy down the street was breeding. But nowadays, the way the world has worked out and the way shipping is, it's a lot cheaper now. So there's no incentive for that mom and pop shop to buy your fish. You know, your crebensis that you're going to breed right now, there's no incentive for that pet shop to buy them because they can get them so incredibly cheap already, if that made any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it the other way. I like it the old way. I guess I like a lot of things the old way, but where you're supporting the smaller businesses and the local guys and stuff like that, I'm more into that than I am, you know, supporting.
Yeah, but back then the pet shop would give you the time of day. If you were a breeder, they really treated you with, you know, some kind of respect.
Right.
Now they're like, yeah, nobody cares.
Right.
You go in and say, hey, I've got, you know, I've got 25 crebensis. You want them? And they're like, yeah, we really don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's
I
a shame.
called our local fish stores, and they said that they were looking for like neon tetras, guppies, and the plecos.
Yeah, there's some hard to find fish that they can't get right now, and if we had them on hand, we could sell them to them or store credit to them. But
Store credit doesn't really get you anywhere.
that's because they can't get them right now.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Well, so once they can get them, it's who the hell are you? You know.
Yeah, who are you again? What?
Which I'm okay. You know, like I said, the Benson's Fish Room we deal with. I camp with the father, or we camp with the father. We camp with the son, and the son is actually doing the fish part, and the father is basically the pet part.
And please don't think I'm not saying the local pet shop won't deal with you.
Oh no,
I'm not saying that,
We've
because I
talked
have a
about it.
really good relationship with my local fish stores, and it is because I breed fish and sell them, and you know they know who I am. But it took a while to build that relationship. It wasn't just, hey, dude, I got 50 convicts. You want them? Yeah, that's not going to work out very well.
Right. No, we've talked to them about, buying, selling, trading fish and stuff like that. But I like that it's a small family-owned business, and I'm into supporting the family-owned business. I'd rather go there than Petco. But
Oh, absolutely. I'm the
when it
exact
comes to
same way.
when it comes to the tank side, if I was buying a new saltwater setup, that's the place I would go. If I'm going to buy an
Empty tanks.
Aqueon 20 long, Petco's got them beat by half the price.
Yeah, that's where I got all my tanks.
They're doing the volume, so they get the discount. So
Yeah.
Correct.
Normally, Benson's Fish Room, they have setups. They have like a complete setup or something, or like things that you don't normally see. But then Petco normally has like 40 breeders or something. That's just the tank, or the side of the road has them.
We need to do a stream on the downfall of the local fish shop.
You
Yep.
should start up a stream after this.
in 1 hour, we'll get a ding notification from Terry's Trouble.
I hope not. I don't know if I'm going to keep live streaming. I think I'm just going to pop up in other people's streams.
You should continue.
I don't know.
I think it's fun. I think you're.
I've been listening to a lot of the guys, and they're like, everybody likes your streams. They do enjoy them, but you got to kind of mix it up with the live streams, the edited content, and the pop-ins, and that's how you increase your views and your numbers. If that's what you're into.
I don't know if I've rewatched a couple of my live streams, and I don't know what they actually have as for value. I might just pop up, do a stream, and then just delete it right afterwards, because I don't see a value to the hobby in my streams.
I don't know. You've gotten into some conversations before, Mr. Manifesto and stuff like that, and where some of the stuff you were saying, made sense, and some of it didn't.
And some of it didn't.
But it doesn't all have to make sense. It just has to be out there.
So I believe Science
Girl.
Gal is live. So I just want to show this worm culture real quick. So the worms are already crawling up the sides, which is good.
I'm craving gravy.
Butcherman said, Terry, your streams are great, but thank you all for coming.
Thanks for having me up.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. And we're all going to go over to Science Gal Aquatics. Do #worms, no debates about that. Thanks for coming.